I, George Herbert Walker Bush, do solemnly swear.
George Herbert Walker Bush left his mark on nearly every area of government as president, vice president, ambassador, director of the nation's spy agency, and member of Congress. Later in life, he even affected fashion trends by sporting his trademark funky socks and endeared himself to Americans by pulling stunts like this, skydiving to celebrate his 90th birthday.
How'd you feel?
Cold.
Does they have to push you out?
Jumping out of planes came natural to Bush. On his 18th birthday, he enlisted in the military, and when he received his wings, he was the youngest pilot in the Navy. During World War II, he flew 58 combat missions. On his last, he was shot down by Japanese fighters. He ejected, crashed into the Pacific Ocean, and was rescued by a U.S. submarine. For his bravery in action, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. The experience impacted him for life and would define his thoughts about war and peace as both vice president and commander-in-chief. After the war, Bush attended Yale and married Barbara Pierce, who would become mother of the couple's 6 children and a popular first lady. Bush set off to make a living off of oil in West Texas, but soon caught the political bug from his father, Prescott, who by that time was a U.S. Senator from Connecticut. Bush won a seat representing Texas in the House of Representatives, and his career of civilian public service began.
There is crime to be conquered, the rough crime of the streets. There are young women to be helped. We're about to become mothers of children they can't care for.
In 1980, he lost the nomination for president to Ronald Reagan, who made him vice president, a position that gave Bush an intimate look at the rise of conservatism in America.
His presidency in many ways was overshadowed by his predecessor, and that's understandable.
It's hard to forget these words, which helped catapult him to the White House in 1988.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
But breaking that pledge by raising taxes 2 years later led to his loss to Bill Clinton in 1992. When Bush became president, as he said, a new breeze was blowing. The nation was refreshed by freedom. Communism was collapsing, the Soviet Union falling, and the decades-long Cold War coming to a peaceful end. In his inaugural address, he painted himself as a traditional man who valued hard work, discipline, and goodness.
My first act as president is a prayer, and I ask you to bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we bow our heads and thank you for your love. Accept our thanks for the peace that yields this day and the shared faith that makes its continuance likely.
His first major foreign crisis came in 1990 when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, threatening America's oil supply. Bush rallied Americans and the world to execute Desert Storm, a 100-hour land battle that sent Hussein and his million-man army tucking their tails, all captured on national TV. It catapulted Bush's popularity, but a growing crime rate, flagging economy, and deficit spending poisoned his chance for a second term. There's no question a great part of Bush's legacy is his service to his country. A surprising turn in Bush's later years was his intense friendship with former rival Bill Clinton. The two worked together on charity efforts at the request of then-President George W. Bush after the infamous Southeast Asian tsunami and Hurricanes Katrina and Ike. In 1996, he also crossed paths with CBN, commissioning the ministry's flying hospital. In his late 80s, Bush lost his ability to walk due to vascular Parkinsonism, calling it the best bad-sounding disease a person can get. In 2014, Bush 43 wrote a book about his dad's presidency.
This is a story about an extraordinary man who, in my judgment, is the finest one-term president our country has ever had.
He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live.
In April, Bush lost his beloved wife of 73 years. Theirs was the longest presidential marriage in history, one that was happy until the very end. Throughout hardship and triumph for the duration of their long partnership, the Bushes made family their priority.
We cannot hope only to leave our children a bigger car, a bigger bank account. We must hope to give them a sense of what it means to be a loyal friend, a loving parent, a citizen who leaves his home, his neighborhood, and town better than he found it.
It's a goal George Herbert Walker Bush strove to achieve his entire life. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.